in this video we are going to look at perform how to perform input and output functions using the graphical user interface. Okay, now in the graphical user interface we are going to make use of the class swing. In the class swing we have the sorry in the API swing we have the class option pane. The option pane gives us two methods: show input dialog for input and then show message dialog for output. So as against the console level where we use the system.out for display or output and system.in to receive input. Okay, now the graphical user interface we will be using the option pane that show input dialog for input, and then we will use the option pane that show message dialog for output. Now quickly, what I will need us to understand is that in the graphical user interface level, all the inputs that will be received of the format string. They are all of the format string, which will mean that we will need to convert them to their native data types before we can perform any arithmetic. So if we want to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, finding modulus of two or more numbers on a string, it will result in a null or a zero output. Okay, so for us to be able to do an appropriate mathematical computation in Java at the graphical user interface level, when all the inputs are in the form of a string, we will need to convert them into their respective data types. What we'll be using to do this conversion, we call them wrapper classes. Okay, so if you receive an input in the form of a string and you want to convert it into an integer, you want to use the wrapper class called the integer dot pass int, and then the string you receive which is in the form of the data you receive that is in the form of a string, you pass it on as a parameter to this. So let's say we call that string input. We will pass that on as a parameter to the wrapper class and to store it in the variable that is an integer. So let's assume we have an integer variable called let's say QQ. So whatever was received, we pass it on. Whatever was received, which is a string, in the string variable, we use the wrapper class to convert it into a string and then store it in a variable QQ. All right. So quickly, let's get into the practice of this. Okay. So in the previous video, we used the scanner class to receive the input, and then we use the system.out to display. We are now going to use the graphical user interface. We will no more need this, but we have to replace this with another library that will help us to do the graphical user interface. So we import java s dot swing, and then we use asterisk. Okay, so in the asterisk means that all the classes in the swing API are going to be imported. However, the one we'll be putting more emphasis on is the option pane. Okay. So we want to use the same concept, and then we use the option pane for graphical user interface. So now to receive an input, what we said earlier on is we need to have a string variable. So we create a string variable. We want to call that, let's say, string string underscore input. This is the variable that is going to receive all of our input that will come in. So we know that it's already a string, so we have given it a data type what string. Now realize that string data type has is starting with an uppercase. Java is case sensitive, just like it is with C and then C++. Okay, so we say string underscore input the variable. We will now want to have the panel that will help us to receive an input into this variable. We call that gain option pane dot show input. What we want to receive is an input, so we use the input dialog. There should be a test in here. Over here on line 18, we asked in the console environment that how are you? So we are going to write the same thing here. How are you? And then bring the question mark on the side. So on line 15, that input will be received. Let me delete this so then we don't get confused. I hope you're on the same page. So on line 16, we have declared a string variable. Sorry, on line 15, we have declared a string variable. And then on line 16, we are invoking the graphical user interface. And then we're saying that on that interface, we want to receive an input. However, you should prompt the user to input that value. So we ask how are you? It should be how old are you? Okay. All right. So age is supposed to be an integer. So because now it is a string, it is stored in this string variable, we want to convert what has been stored, the age stored as a string variable, into its appropriate data type. So we declare variable, an integer type, we call it age, and we will now want to convert this string into what? An integer type, and store the variable in age. So we will use the wrapper class called integer dot pass int. What do you want to convert? I want to convert the string input. The input we received, we stored that in string input. So we want to convert this string data format into an integer type, because age is defined as what? As an integer. So we did the conversion using the wrapper class integer.parseInt. Okay, so from here we want to display. Now to display, we will use j option pane dot show message dialog. What do you want to print? The question that was asked was, how old are you? So I would say I am, and then now I want to print what is stored in age. So if you enter 15, it will print I am 15. We can add years. Let's put that in double quote because a string, 15 years old. Okay, so back again on line 15, we have created a string input variable because we have already explained that all inputs coming at the graphical user interface are in the form of a string. And then on the next line 16, we are asking the user to input the value, and then we store that in the variable string input. Okay, on line 17, we are converting that string input into an integer type, and we store it in the variable age. On line 18, we are printing what is stored. We want to print that I am that years old. So if the user entered let's say 19, then to print I am 19 years old. Okay, all right, so let's save this code. Let's save this and let's run it. So we are expecting to see the the pop-up on the screen says, how old are you? I am 19 years old. Okay, so option, the J option pane, this is the the panel that it invokes onto the screen. So now he enters the input here. So 19 in this case will be passed on to the string variable we declared as what? String input. Okay, so I click on this. Okay, it is converted into an integer type and it is printed on the next line here. I am 19 years old. So this is how we do input and then output using the um, J option pane. In the next video, we'll be learning how to, sorry, in the next video, we would, we would answer that with the question we have here. Thank you.